All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing our next review for Tales of the Walking Dead Season 1, Episode 3. This is for the Alpha episode. It is called D. Alright dudes, so now we get to see the Alpha episode for Tales of the Walking Dead Season 1. So this one for me might be my most anticipated episode of the first season for Tales of the Walking Dead. That is, if they do another season. We don't know if Tales of the Walking Dead is going to be renewed for a second season or not. I guess we'll see, how people feel about it once we get up to the season 1 finale, possibly the series finale, episode 6. But yeah, so this is the first episode for Tales of the Walking Dead that we get to see based on a Walking Dead original character. So based on a character that we already know, not based on a new character or group of characters. So in this one, we get to see the Alpha episode, and it does also feature Lydia, as you might imagine. And this one is so cool. Just the look of it, some of the way they did some of the scenes. You have Alpha like talking, sort of narrating in this episode. She's kind of like talking to you. She's all like blacked out, looking like some kind of gray alien or something at some points because she's got like the bald head and stuff. She's kind of like, and it's kind of terrifying. Like there's parts of it that are really scary. Also, it's interesting because she's not a good guy type of character. We know Alpha from the original Walking Dead series and from the comics, and she's quite brutal. She's quite vicious. She's quite unhinged later on when we meet her in The Walking Dead. Let's see, when does she come in? Walking Dead Season 9 is her first appearance. And now we get to continuing on into Season 10 for Alpha, one of the Walking Dead's all-time best villains. And so this is somewhat of maybe a little bit more of a focused Alpha origin episode. Well, Alpha and Lydia, actually, because, you have both in there. The two go hand in hand. You have them both in there together. And we see a very young Lydia in this one. I can't tell exactly how many years into the zombie apocalypse this one is. If you guys remember, there is the beta episode in the original Walking Dead series with Alpha and Lydia, which is like a Whisper Origin episode, which is pretty damn cool because I do enjoy seeing the Whispers. And that one was like a beta Origin episode. This one specifically is obviously an Alpha Origin episode with Lydia there as support. So we see Samantha Morton return to reprise her role as Alpha. I think this will probably be the final time we see Alpha in The Walking Dead overall. And she's really fantastic, right? Like after we haven't seen her for a couple years now as a villain in Walking Dead since her final episode with Negan and everything, this one is really cool to see her come back for. I like the narration, I like the way they used it. I like kind of the way you kind of have her sort of in the introduction and everything. Intro is really cool. I really love the way they do the intros in Tales of the Walking Dead. And just kind of the whole kind of premise around Tales of the Walking Dead, that you'll get to see some of these special type of episodes that you would never get to see in the original. Like it would make no sense to do this episode in the original Walking Dead series at this point because Alpha's long gone. But based on where the storyline is right now and everything else, it just wouldn't make any sense. But Tales of the Walking Dead is a really cool spot where they can, really cool series where they can go back and revisit some of these different, time periods, different character origins. A lot of people are already asking to see a governor origin, which would be really great. We kind of got to see here's Negan, and Negan's still alive, so I don't know if it makes sense to do anything with him. We kind of already got that in the original series. But yeah, an episode like this where it doesn't make sense to do it in the original series, but with Tales of the Walking Dead, they can go ahead and do it. So we see D, which is, now we have the info, spoiler warning, that D is Alpha's name before she kind of joins and seemingly takes over the Whispers. So in this one, we are seeing an Alpha that is very pre-Whisper, and then as the episode goes through, becomes Whisper. And it's really wicked awesome to see. So we have like this boat group where she and Lydia are staying with. They're kind of on a little ship, and it's kind of anchored there, and they're kind of using that as a place to survive, I suppose. It is a pretty good location in that walkers can't really easily get up and kind of get at people, so it's relatively safe from walkers, but it's not safe from people. And you can kind of see with this group led by Brooke on the ship that the people there, they're doing like workout routines and stuff like it's back in the old world. You've got like personal training. Brooke's like a personal trainer. They're like doing like practice exercises and stuff, which is just funny considering this is like the zombie apocalypse, but it's in the early days, so I guess it would be normal for people to still do that at that point. And you have Alpha, you have D, who's just like, she has Lydia, but she's just kind of off. Like there's something about Alpha or D that's just kind of, even at this point, is not quite right. And then obviously later on we see what she kind of becomes. So, but even when she's talking to people, she's interacting with Brooke or with the others, with the bartender, she just doesn't come across like as normal, or something about her is just odd. Like she's dressed up, she's wearing a dress and stuff. She just looks awkward, doesn't quite fit right, doesn't look right. She's just an odd type of character, and people are not very nice to her. The bartender's kind of rude to her and everything. And then you have a gentleman that goes missing. You do have a good relationship between Lydia and Brooke, who's kind of the lead lady of the ship, and but you get the sense that Alpha is, or D at this point, is probably a better survivor than the others. She's got that little bit of paranoia, which allows her to kind of see what's going on with this, with the bartender, who we kind of discover as we go through the episode is signaling somebody offshore for the ship, like a mirror or something, for them to kind of come on and take the ship over, which we do end up seeing. And he starts depopulating. He starts shooting people. Not enough room for everybody, so he starts shooting people and everything. And you have D, Alpha, who basically goes in, kills a couple of them. Everything goes to mayhem, goes craziness. And then you have her saving Lydia. They get out of there, and kind of fairly quickly afterwards, sort of go into pre-Whisper mode, where she gets kind of caught underneath this gruesome walker, cuts it open, can't get out, it's covered in blood. Lydia comes under with her to get covered so that the zombies won't eat either of them, and they kind of get out of there. Now there are some kind of brutal scenes in the episode where I actually do feel bad for Brooke in this episode, in that Brooke is kind of like, she seems like she's a really good person and she's trusting, but she's way too trusting, which doesn't lend well to the Walking Dead universe. If you're going to let anybody join, let them do whatever, and are not really with it and are not really prepared, then you could definitely see something like this happening pretty quickly. And the episode is really cool in that the visual style of it. You get to see the ship. It's a cool environment that's different from what we're used to for Walking Dead. Kind of like a swamp in and around them and everything. So it's really good. But there is kind of a motherly rivalry between Alpha and Brooke for Lydia's affection, I guess. And Lydia seems to like Brooke a lot more than she likes Alpha, in that if we remember from the Walking Dead original series, Alpha did have to kill Frank, which was her husband, or Lydia's dad. So Lydia is like traumatized at this point. She's scared of her own mother, so she kind of relates better to Brooke and kind of like wants to be around Brooke in this whole thing. And it's kind of tragic. You do feel sorry for Brooke in this episode watching it through, because she's just not. You can kind of tell right away she's just not the type of person that's going to be able to do very well. So you have all this kind of play out. It's exciting and everything, and cool to see. And then in the second part of it, or the later part of it, we get to see the transition of D into Alpha. Oh, thanks for subscribing there, Yo Nips. So we see the transition from D as the prior person. So that would have been her original name, I suppose. Alpha's real name was D-E-E. and then by the end of the episode come through, she is referred to as Alpha. So it's cool to see the Whisperer origin at the end here. Lydia says she hears fairies and the trees talking and everything like this, and it ends up being the Whisperers. And you can see the lead lady for the Whisperers that brings Alpha in, it looks like. Alpha gets revenge on her later, and so she is the blonde-haired mask that the Whisperer mask that right here. I got one right there, mine right back there. The Whisperer mask that she ends up wearing, that Alpha wears, is taken from the prior leader of the Whisperers, and that we are just to assume that Alpha took the frickin' thing over and killed her. And got her Whisperer skin from there. You almost get a sense in this one that she was going to do it to Brooke, which was kind of a brutal scene to see, because Brooke just is just somebody who's a fish out of water. She's just not the right type of person to survive this whole thing, play through. And to get back at her, I guess, Alpha cuts her face, but it's sort of like a fake out, because at one part you're saying to yourself, you're watching, you're like, oh man, is she gonna like do the whole thing, and then is that where she got it from or something? But the hair color is different, so it doesn't quite fit. But that's where my mind went to right away. I was like, oh, this is gonna be brutal. I did do like the 7-year-old thing, right? Like when you watch your first horror movie and you're like 7 or let's say 9 or 10, you do the cover thing. I can't watch. I can't watch because it's so brutal. Because Alpha is so brutal, right? But then at the end, you see her. She's like narrating, talking to the thing. You showed me love, and it's got like the mask and everything, and she's got like cuts on her face and stuff. It's kind of a horrifying episode at the end, but that's what it should be considering the character that you're spotlighting. So I thought it was a great episode. It's probably better than the beta origin episode in the original Walking Dead series. It's even better than that. And I was very impressed with it. I thought, like, okay, maybe this will be okay, whatever. And it's like, no, this is actually really awesome. I would love to see them do something like this for the Governor if they could swing it. Anyway, that's it for this review, guys. 10 out of 10 for me. Perfect freaking episode. Definitely the best episode of Tales so far. Love seeing Alpha. This was a great opportunity for us to get to see a little bit more of that backstory, add a little bit more to the character. We know her name is Dee. Now we learned that. We get to see her with Lydia a little bit more, which is always great. Helps Lydia in the original TV series as well, for a little bit more backstory there to get to understand her a little bit more. Makes her a more A-list type character, and it's just it's damn well perfect, man. Although it is a little horrifying by the end, but it's Walking Dead. What do you expect? It's Whisperers. What do you expect? It's awesome. Whisperer origin, like this one feels like the true Whisperer origin right here. I think, especially with that scene at the end with her. So scary, man. So a scary, older, scary little lady. That's for sure. Comments below, thumbs up below, shares below, favorites below, subscribe bottom. That's it for this one. See you for the next one. Trev, same peace there, guys. See you soon.